A grateful evening to everyone. Welcome to Bridging Communities here at the Poetry Festival Singapore 2021. My name is Lakan, a page performance slam street poet. And tonight I'm very excited because 2020 was really a testing time for everyone. We have experienced so much loss and so much heartache. And yet, in between all that gray areas, we have found that light. We have found poetry as a healing journey for everyone to move forward. And tomorrow doesn't seem so bleak. And tonight we are joined by wonderful poets from all over the world. And it's such an exciting time because we stand together. And these times call for that we human beings are just shining through and poets are leading the way. And here at Poetry Festival of Singapore, we have invited really powerful and evocative poets for tonight. And starting off, he was born in the village of Panberi in Patgram, Bangladesh. He is 30 years old. And when he was young, he has loved performing and started his creative pursuits through singing. And after that, he began to express himself through poetry and also in short stories from the age of 12. His first novel, Dukher Shimanayasuk, or Happiness Simon at Heart's Edge, and his poetry collection, Apurna Basana, Unfulfilled Desire in English, were published in Bangladesh. Recently, he published his short stories books call in Bangladesh Book Fair in 2021. And let us hear the strength of this poet. Let's all welcome Mukul Hossine.
Hi, this is
Hello,
Mukul
Mukul.
Hossine. Hi, nice to meet you again. And I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Eric to give this opportunity to me. I'm great that I'm performing the third time on this poetry festival. I'm so surprised that I have a great opportunity. On this pandemic situation, most of the people are suffering about them sickness, and most of the people cannot see and communication with them families. I want to appreciate them, and especially I'm a migrant. I'm stuck here in Bangladesh. For tonight, I'm just trying to appreciate to our migrant community who just every day doing very hard and hopeless, and they also left them family, cannot coming back Bangladesh, cannot going to another overseas countries. So I want told all of the migrant friends, please be careful and take care yourself. And tonight I'm trying to reciting my poems um, from Me Migrant, my book, called Me Migrant Poems. I hope everyone will enjoy it. Me Migrant. Me Migrant live overseas thousand mile away. Me Migrant. By one border, missing smile, down to dusk, then down again. Bring things a cry, line a heart, love, compassion, kindness, losses their meaning. Be careful, no one here, and nobody to know, see and know such pain. Me, migrant, live outdoors, outside from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mukul. And there's so much story to be told in the migrant community. And you have shed some light in that. There is strength in speaking and expressing that. So thank you so much, Mukul, and
Welcome.
I hope that we will see more and more of your work. Very excited, and thank you for gracing tonight. And
Welcome.
now we have heard a voice from the migrant community. Now I think there's also a community that has stories that have traveled far as well, and the diaspora is definitely one of them. And one product of that diaspora is in the Bay Area, and joining us live tonight from the United States. And we're very excited because she has very powerful poetry, and she's also a blogger, you see, and the host of Vocabulary podcast. And she has recently had her poetry featured in Postal Magazine's inaugural issue, Beginnings. And those pieces are included in two poetry anthologies this year: Sinew, 10 Years of Poetry in the Brew, and as well as the Bronx Memoir Project Anthology, Volume 5. Now, this poet has one poetry collection, and we can't wait to hear about that. And it is titled Some Days Here. It is published by Author House Publishing. She posts regularly on both Vocal and Medium under the name of Tricia de Jesus Gutierrez, and she's very passionate about crafting events, programs that makes the literary arts, poetry in particular, accessible to a wide range of audience. And this poet used to be a superhero of creatures, big and small, in the past life, and we can't wait to see the powers that she possesses. And let's all welcome, please, graces from the United States, Phynne Belle.
Such a glowing introduction. Thank you so much, Lacan. I am Phynne Belle from the San Francisco Bay Area. So when I think of community, I think first of its core, which is family, and also of sisterhood. Sisterhood in particular, very important to me. I think newer generations are able to embody that much better. My generation, Gen X, so that's telling you my age, we were not so good on that. We had probably an upbringing, parents who kind of taught us to be at odds with our sisters. So that's a learning process. So those two things primarily define the core of community for me. So my first poem is about finding family. Sometimes family doesn't mean the people that you were born to, but it could mean your adopted family. So this one is called How I Was Taught to Make Pico de Gallo. At a tender age, no, not tender, but ripe, you are what you see, what you dive into, revel and steep. When the presence that grounds you is yanked out from underneath, a carpet at once verdant and humid, and loud and pungent and familiar. Familiar, what a jolt, for you thought you would never comprehend it. Now simmered waist deep in an alien stew, a pot also at once home and an adventure. You absorb its tantalizing flavors with every pore. First, chop the onions finely. To weep and purify, you reveal an ache. Nausea of homesick waves engulf then the chile and cilantro. To embolden and renew, you sample a forgotten father tongue. Simultaneously simple and unwieldy, you wing the eye and bury the lip, the red, the final touch. Tomatoes ready and bursting to teach passion, compassion, camaraderie, companionship, familia. You now see, but you have always seen in disapproving eyes, the otherness of this dish. But what is foreign to those who will not care to know is a comforting pozole that warms you all over, an affectionate mama who lends not only to your stomach, but your questioning heart, non-judgmental siblings who took you in and saved you from the cold of separation and rejection. Would you throw mama and her familia and me out with yesterday's refuse? And then finally, I wanted to close with this poem called I See You, which is my offering to all my sisters all around the world. I would like this one to go out to all my sisters, women divine, tied to me by silver threads, spooling back and forth, connecting us by our hearts. I want you to know that I see you. I hope you are not feeling weighted down and discouraged by a society that gives you little value, by a life that restrained you to its outdated rules from birth. You are more than this perception. You are more than the role you were assigned. You fill my whole vision. You fill the world with your womanhood. It surrounds you. It emerges from you. You are its mother and offspring. I want you to know you are a miracle and I see you. I will be there to march alongside you, and each step of your triumph is my triumph. I feel you falling, and I will fall with you and hit the rocks with might. Our knees will bleed and show the badges of our courage as we rise up over and over, knowing it will not be the last time we crash down. We will stand up and stand up and stand up, and each time we are less afraid of what stretches ahead. I want you to know you are my heroine, and I see you. I see your hair curl to defy gravity, and I love you. I see how your face is your own among a constellation of beautiful different faces. It does not remind me of the visage that fools the eye in magazines, and it can only be you. I see your body strong and capable, curved and generous, lithe and nimble, scarred like each mark upon your skin is an ancient sacred symbol molded after mothers and goddesses. Human eyes fail. They cannot take in all of you at once, cannot comprehend all of you. I want you to know you are divine and blinding in your beauty, and I see you. I see you, you are a miracle. I see you, you are heroine. I see you, you are mother and goddess. In you, I see every sister and beloved. In you, I see myself. Thank you.
Phynne, my goodness, this strong sense of family is very present, not just in Singapore, but also all around the world, really, especially during the pandemic. And we have found ourselves tightening those embraces much longer than we should. And it's okay because it's family and we can spend all the time that we want to appreciate them. And the sense of community begins in the home, begins with family. Thank you so much, Phynne Belle from the Bay Area and the United States, for joining us tonight here at Building Communities at the Poetry Festival, Singapore. Thank you, Phynne. Now, speaking of family, a lot of the migrant workers that are currently building Singapore with a lot of love and a lot of hope for the future for their families that are left in their homelands. There is so much resilience in it. And one poet will be joining us tonight, and she was born in Cilacap in Central Java, and she's been working in Singapore since 2011 as a domestic helper. And she, in the course of her her employment in Singapore. She had won the migrant worker storytelling competition in 2018 and a third place winner at the Indonesian Armed Force in Singapore Anniversary Poetry Competition 2020. And she also won a photography competition titled Empowerment. It was sponsored by IDHA, and in that it was in 2020. And she is part of this book as a contributor called Call and Response, the first edition, and Familiar Strangers, of course, both published in Singapore. And let us all welcome a rallying call for the families and most especially the migrant workers that are fighting with them. So I'll welcome Eli Nur Fadilah.
Hi everyone, thank you so much, Lakan. I'll finally see you again after years, and yeah, I miss you all and everyone around the world. Today I'm gonna read two poems. One called the Dandelion Song. It's poetry about hopes, and the second one is my tribute to festival of poetry festival, um, which come sit here with me. Um, so I'll start with the dandelion song. When the sun rises tomorrow, we will sing a dandelion song, along with hummingbirds and butterflies. As the fresh morning dews gently touch our face, wishes are made and dreams soaring high. With mother prayers be our guard, there will be no more loneliness bullets to shoot our heart. The fate wrapped around our wrist created more joys that feels like lovers' first kiss. And tomorrow, when the sun rises again, I will put my hand in your hand, and you'll put your hand in my hand. Together we will dance along the dandelion song. We'll create our existence and strengthen our bond. Even if today we are not in our best, tomorrow again, together we will rise. The second poem, Come Sit Here With Me. Come sit here with me. Let's share a story like we used to. Under the banyan tree where Sang Nila found this country. Don't you remember how we shared jokes and laughter, and suddenly sunset called us? Just like our mother. Go inside, it's about to get dark, she said. And we start living in uncertainty. Since the pandemic hit in 2020, since then, we never meet again. Come, sit here with me, virtually. Just connect your device to Wi-Fi or use free hotspot in that internet cafe. We'll share more than we used to, through lines and stanza of poetry, in the same screen, in the different scenes. Let's keep each other stay sane. It's never been easy, but trust me, you'll never feel lonely. We'll fight this pandemic with our favorite kampong spirit. We'll take care of each other until we can sit together again, freely without worries under the banyan tree where Sang Nila found this country. We'll bury our fear and create endless laughter. Thank you so much.
Such my goodness, like the banyan tree is such a symbol of hope and of strength. And we needed that. we have needed that, and we will need that still. And the poetry of Eli had shown us that we can tell that to another person, and we can get through this together. And this is a community that we build, and this is springing from the migrant community of Singapore. And this is just beautiful. Thank you so much, Ellie. And I have missed you. Can't wait to go back. So now, from Ellie, we are going to go and discover the sense of community that this poet has. And very, very interesting, because the first he is one of the authors of this book that I'm very, very intrigued to know more about. And the book is titled A Field Guide to Supermarkets in Singapore. I do love supermarkets. So, and that book was published by Math Paper Press in 2016. And this writer is also the winner of the 2018 Singapore Literature Prize for Poetry. Now, his work has appeared in several publications, including the Yale Literary Magazine, The Unfree Verse by Ethos Books, 2017, and A Luxury We Cannot Afford by Math Paper Press in 2014. My goodness, please let us all welcome Samuel Lee.
Hi,
Hello.
Thank you, Lakan, for your introduction. I will be reading one poem that I wrote while traveling back to Singapore during the pandemic. This poem is titled Lousy. Lousy like the final picnic by the lake that lost summer in the south side, when we took off our masks and hung them under the trees like brilliant buntings, flapping grandly over the pails of cherries and wine, and the quiet knowing that the bronze light of youth will soon slip away, taking with it all our poetic feeling, and installing in its place our communal lousiness, the shared exhaustion of staying alive. What rattled me was not the sense of the end of living, but the terror presaged by an ominous epilogue. We took plenty of photographs all day of those tired hydrangea bushes foisting their plumes into closed windows, and our bare faces rising above the surface of the earth. My dreams that week had the quality of time's lushness, which pooled and ebbed and swirled like the loose debris of Lake Michigan, which break apart into images of themselves in its secret and stony waters. I saw the corpses on TV carted out from the tin roof morgues out on parking lots, and they tossed off their shrouds and grew pink, walking and talking and crying and loving and yelling across the street and pruning the gladiolus which hung their heads over fountains and front porches. And I heard again that old raspy laugh of my neighbor's mother, who danced in the lobby till her knees swelled. And Jack, the golden retriever, rose from the dead to lick the drool off my face and piece back together shreds of paper napkins, laying them neatly on the table like playing cards, as if to say, what strangeness you must confront after I am gone. Then the dream ended, and I returned to my old country, where ferns clung to trees like green explosions, and the light, though magnificent, is straightforward, where friends speak with tongues of fire and honey, with that soft bitterness of feeling outside of history, and all the seasons of living and dying. Sometimes I just sit there as the violet lights of evening snap open the windows of the flats so forcefully that I can see deeply into the recesses of kitchens and the women who moved away from their families to work in them, the bedrooms and the video games, the boy hugging his mom by the door. And I wonder if it is time for the poem to be written, the one titled Life, which chokes me with its singular urgency and is breathless with stories and lousy with pictures, like the kid running up to his grandparents attempting to describe his day at the beach, and the crabs and the sky. Thank you, that was it.
One titled life. That will stay with me for a while. My goodness, Samuel, such intricate details in that poem, and you could totally lay out the entire memory. And that was really beautifully written and also shared. Thank you. Thank you so much, Samuel.
Thank you.
And it's about the details, and I think when you're building a community, it's also very critical to know the components of each and every part that would make it strong, the foundation, the communication between 2 points. And it's very interesting because our next poet, I am interested about the imagination, the connection between those points. And she has written a novella called The Girl Who Couldn't Love. And a short story book called Barefoot and Pregnant, as well as The Orphanage for Words. Now, she has compiled the anthologies Why We Don't Talk. Then also there's another, An Unsuitable Woman and Boom. Now, she is also a co-founder of the Bangalore Literature Festival and the director of the Bengaluru Poetry Festival. Her story, A Dog's Death, won the Commonwealth Broadcasting Association Asia Prize in 2002. And this poet calls Bangalore, India, her home. Let's all welcome Shiny Anthony. Hello, Shiny.
Hi, thank you. And thank you, Eric, and everybody here for giving me a seat at this table. To me, community, the Bangalore Literature Festival, which we started a decade back, it's a community-funded festival. And it just brought together readers and writers from everywhere and made a whole community out of literature, out of books, and like-minded people. And I would say bookworms. There's no community more bonded than that of bookworms. My first one is called Amazon India. Remember gods when you prayed to me? Hush, I said. Good gods don't pray. With every telling, your story changes. Truth is, you don't recall creating me. I'm down on my knees, waiting for Amazon to deliver a new god. FAQs, frequently asked questions. Who salts the sea, washes water? Who will bell the bell? Buy what I won't sell. See eye to eye on the same face. And whom will my death kill? Depart. Part soul, part spine, part feather, part beak, part lyric, part verb, part thorn, part fern, part full, part half, part nil, part. As I jump off parapets, I'm wing, I'm fin, part sky, part sea. Must call mom, drink less, show strange men the door who follow her home, gushing about her body parts. Must feed cat, fish, pup. Shower, keep knife off wrist, feet off ledge, eyes off the shawl that can swing her neck to the fan. Must cry prettily when men ask her if she's lonely and say, I'm lonely for you, only for you. Must relearn to growl, her wolves have turned herbivorous. Every day on her doorstep, she runs into herself at 6 p.m. sharp and asks herself, would you rather stay in or go out to gather some more human dust on your arms? Cha-cha. I blame every song, those black and white women on celluloid with flowers in their hair, soft voices, untrained hands on a piano, their language of sobs. A long line of mothers, grandmothers with drunk husbands, goddesses PMSing with red bulging eyes, tongues out, sloshing estrogen, while 10 men gods smile blandly in a row, each and every eve with a hem of leaping flames in whose hand-me-downs I cha-cha with 2 left feet. This is the last one. Words. Where do they go? Words no one mourns, no one uses anymore. When fathers die and mothers don't remember. All the love words and forever words when the mouth has moved on to other words. 1,000 secrets make the body a bow, but the arrow shot from its mouth is always a word. Small talk, big talk, dirty talk, pillow talk, baby talk, sleep talk, bilateral talks. We have ways to make you talk. We need to talk. Hello, your voice is breaking. Did I just say what I just said? I don't know how to say this. I will say this just once. Is it something I said? Don't say it, don't say it. Say something, say anything. You don't talk to me anymore. No one speaks to me like that. No one. Lies men tell women to get them into bed. Lies women tell the men they cheat. Old yellowing letters at the bottom of a trunk. 50-pound weakling words that get sand kicked in their face. Words that jump from behind a sofa screaming, surprise! Words that jam your hands on the wheel long after the lights turn green. And words you hear between your legs. You hug yourself on dark nights. In the next room, someone honeymoons. Thank you.
Wow, a powerful reading, yet from this roster, and the words. It makes you ask, so many questions, and I love that when a piece just begs the audience or the reader questions. It makes you look inside, into your own memories. So thank you so much, Shiny, for giving me that, because I will be doing that later after the show. So, and I do agree when Shiny said that poetry is a community. Poets, a community of poets is just so closely linked, and we don't even know it. And there is much warmth, because we do bear it all in our pieces, and it is very kindred, that feeling, to each and every one of us. And no matter what language we speak or we use, it is felt. And I felt that, Shiny. Thank you so much. Now, speaking of different languages, it is very interesting because one of the older um, types of poetry that I have encountered in my life are from the Chinese, and it has been running for centuries, and it has been passed on from one dynasty to another. And now this next poet that we have for tonight here at Building Communities, here at Poetry Festival Singapore, we'll be looking at the communities being created from different languages and also different cultures. Because this poet has 5 collections of poetry and a travel memoir entitled Between Stations and Gull Between Heaven and Earth, as well as a historical novel about the Tang Dynasty poet Du Fu. My goodness, this is very exciting, and I cannot wait to hear this poet now. So let's bring this poet in to the show, Boey Kim Cheng. Hello.
Okay, this poem comes from the anthology that Lacan mentioned earlier, Call and Response. So I was invited to participate in the collaborative project between migrant worker poets here and Singapore poets. And I was given a poem by Omar Farouk Shipon, in which he describes the kind of crushing loneliness in the dormitories and that they experienced, that the homesickness, that sort of separation from family, So I could identify with that too, because my children I haven't seen my children for 2 years now, close to 2 years, and so this poem is a response to his poem, and yeah, it's I guess a homesick poem. So a line that stood up from Omar's poem is I'm not in my country. So I took that line and turned it into a refrain in my response to his poem. So, not in your country. You are not in your country, but it is in you. This map of absence, this land of hunger and longing that you carry inside. As the soul is carried loosely in the body, a battered luggage of longings, dreams worn thin and threadbare, a knapsack you live out of, half packed or unpacked, unsure if it's coming or going, staying or moving on, if the state of transit will turn to exile. You are not in your country, but it is alive in you, its voice audible when the moon wheels over your dream in the foreign sky, a gazelle singing its lines between the head and the heart, and your finger, the amulet of Rumi's words. And this is a quote from Rumi. I didn't come here of my own accord, and I can't leave that way. Whoever brought me here will have to take me home. You're not in your life, but comes back to you, lying in your narrow bunk in a room full of homesick souls, each locked in a dream of return to a lost country without borders, memory, the only passport, the key to the door that closed when you left. You waken to a strange face in the mirror, glimpsing its eyes, the man who left, headed into the future, looking more and more like the past. You're not in your country, but it is in you. The way you inhabit still the lives of your wife and children, there and yet not there, a ghost aching to reach out, to touch and hold, but grasping only emptiness. You know the exile written into your body, the distance, the separation that phone and pixel won't resolve, the faces and voices of home fading out while you remain here, grown stranger to yourself. You are not in your country, and your dead mother comes to you, not speaking, but you know the words in her heart. Are you feeding yourself well, son? You know that the cruelest fate of exile is to watch your parents die from a distance, not to hold their hands at the end, the way they held yours when you were a child, afraid to go dark. Now, your mother lives in you. And as you call, she rises to open the door, and you're back in your country, at home in the sense your mother makes in the domain, mixing the condiments, in command over the wok and pots, conjuring up the dishes that will bring your soul back wherever it is lagging, and make whole the lost, absent years, feeding you so you will forget the exile's hunger, the clench of emptiness in the pit of your stomach, and you inhale the steaming balm of curry and rice, lean over your plate and eat. Thank you.
My goodness, that piece encapsulated so much emotion coming from the migrant community in Singapore. It is the most unfortunate thing to have death, and it's from a distance, miles and miles away from you, and that's just harrowing. And you encapsulated that in that piece, and you also said memories are the only passports. That was beautiful. It's just beautifully said. And there's so much community that has been built in Singapore, and I've seen it firsthand, where the people of Singapore, the citizens, the permanent residents, as well as the expats and also the migrant community working together and building that community. And I think that is one of the drivers of what makes Singapore flourish. Its poetry and literature scene. And we are seeing that. Thank you so much, Kim Cheng. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, speaking about truth, because that is a truth, you know, when you experience death and you cannot run to it, the death of a loved one, it is heartbreaking, and you can't do much about it. It talks also about the society that we live in, because a lot of millions of people do migrate to work and give better futures for their families. And I think it's about preserving that memory that is very, very stark, especially in these trying times. And our next poet speaks of that awareness of what is happening around you and preserving what you can preserve, and also protecting that, defending your voice, and also making sure that you are not just living but alive. So this next poet, our last, actually, my goodness, we're at the end of the show. My good, you know what? When a show is that strong and so it makes you zoom in into the screen. And our last poet, my goodness, but definitely not the least, is a professor, emeritus of literature at De La Salle University in Manila. And before the pandemic, this poet taught the graduate writing course, Pathography, from illness to wellness. And in September 2020, she directed the first creative nonfiction writing workshop for doctors on writing the pandemic, organized by the Bienvenido and Santos Creative Writing Center. In March-April of 2021, she directed the second creative nonfiction writing workshop for doctors with Dr. Joey A. Tabula and Dr. Lance Isidore Catedral as co-panelists. And her work, her pieces definitely speak of her awareness and the community behind with her. And of course, this pandemic has spoken a lot of our voices out and in. So let us learn more about her poetry and let's experience our last poet for tonight here at the Poetry Festival Singapore Bridging Communities, Miss Marjorie Evasco.
Thank you very much, Lacan, and good evening to everyone, my fellow poets. I'm very happy to be sharing with you two poems, two of my latest poems. And the first one that I will read is Farol De Compate, which I originally wrote in my mother tongue, Boholano Binisaya, which is a variant of Cebuano, the language spoken in the Visayas and Mindanao in the Philippines. And the inspiration actually came from the image of the storm lamp, Farol De Compate, which is lighted up during the evening to help the villagers who want to go to the well of the village, to help them find their way and not fall into the village well. So this is reminiscent of the community of my father in his ancestral home in the mountains of Maribojoc, Bohol, my home island in the Philippines. I will read the first poem. It starts with an epigraph from Ilya Kaminsky from his poem Praise. This is how, while darkness drew my profile with its little finger, I have learned to see past as Montale saw it, the obscure thoughts of God descending, among a child's drum beats, over you, over me, over the lemon trees. Farol De Compate. 1. The rain falls lighter now, and I gaze at the dark descended unto our town. From this mountain shelter I saw the old mango trees struck down by fierce lightning from the east, thunder rumbling in the heart of the guardian of the land, who thrills to the meeting of the drought's last sigh, with rush of rain brought by the northerlies, this 9th month of my return to my language. 2. I will go home to my people, bringing fruits from hills I had planted to marvelous trees I had met in my travels in other lands on this revolving earth. Fragrant pears, their fresh, flushed cheeks, bright lemons, yellow and thirst-quenching in hot season. I will go across the town's old cemetery, where my ancestors sleep in edgeless night. I will not wake them in their supreme repose. I am transient like them, simply passing through. 3. I trust that beside the well, which had been dug by my elders, a storm lamp had been placed, lighting up the path towards home. The lamp lighter, minding the first law of neighborliness, to help one another as best as one can in daily acts of living. For if the lamp were put out unlit, someone passing might stumble or slide, fall into the neighborhood well and die. When I pass by the well, I will draw water and drink. Give thanks to my unseen neighbor for the light. The second poem that I'd like to share is an ekphrastic poem. It was inspired by the cyanotype prints of an old photograph, a family album, and the artist books of Angela Silva. I saw this in the exhibit called Not Another Mother and Child in the Orange Project Gallery of Bacolod City. So here's Shadow Mothers. After Angela Silva's cyanotype prints an artist album in a Not Another Mother and Child exhibit, Orange Project. In monochrome, the mother and child images from old family photo albums become something else. Memory retrieved as shadows, soft as forget-me-nots, blooming in a corner of a garden a mother must have loved in those mid-mornings when she was young and the children were just learning to say their first syllables. Ma, ma, ya, ya. It was sweet language to the ear whenever she was around to hear it, the child recognizing two faces, constant sentinels of the daily round of feeding, washing, cleaning, pacifying, and humming songs to sleep by. Her arms ached, holding close a sleepy child now quietly brought to bed to drift dream like the silver dragonflies hovering above the lilies. She was a mother's double, her lap a soft cushion, her breasts smelling of sun and sweat of earth, unlike the bosom, perfumed with soap, talc, and something else. From distant gardens, the grown-up child soon learned to name lavender, wisteria, clematis, hydrangeas. She was the one to whom the child would turn because she was there, ubiquitous as the scent of sugar planted in the great haciendas, where the rest of her kindred toiled Was she shadow mother, or the one indelibly imprinted unto a child's sentient body? You say of cyanotypes, blue is also the color of the ocean, of distance and longing. Our memories of all our mothers taste of salt water, relentless waves of beckoning blue-black seas. Thank you very much.
What a great way to end the night with that piece. I just feel so hopeful after that last piece, Marjorie, and it just makes me want to dream more, you know. And although there are hardships, there will be, that tenacity of our dreams can pull through that. Thank you so much, Miss Marjorie Evasco. Thank you, thank you. We would love to thank definitely the 8 poets that have found us and we have found them tonight. Miss Marilyn Tan, Mukul Hossine, Phynne Belle, Eli Nur Fadilah, Samuel Lee, Shiny Anthony, Boey Cheng, and of course, Miss Marjorie Evasco. And of course, we would love to thank our tech team because without them, will be nothing. So I would love to thank, of course, Miss Kathy Candano for providing your support and time and love, because I know that you love us here at Poetry Festival Singapore. And of course, thank you so much to Eric Tensai Valias for spearheading this festival, because you know what? We need a festival. We need a poetry festival that is shining in the Asia Pacific region. So thank you so much for tuning in, and there will be more. Thank you so much, everyone. And my name is Lakan, and welcome to Poetry Festival Singapore. Stay brave, stay lit.